Technical Working Group of the DepEd Central. And they made a lot of consultation in the field before they came up with these policy guidelines. Before 2015, before these policy guidelines, we already follow assessment, levels of assessment. But now, it's more comprehensive compared with the previous levels of assessment being followed by DepEd. Now, where do they base this DepEd order number 8? So there are theoretical basis. So kanina na-mention na, Vygotsky. Yes, you're correct. Na-mention na kahapon ni Sir Apollo that the basis of the assessment given in the class is based on the theoretical basis of Vygotsky, wherein, according to him, appropriate assessment is committed to ensuring learner success to move from guided, independent display of knowledge, understanding, and skill. This has something to do with the prior knowledge of the student. Knowing what the student already knows, so that we can give what they need to know. So that's the first basis. The second is the different ways on how are we going to assess them. How the student be able to transfer what they have learned. So, kapag daw ang bata ay nakadiscuss ng competencies or learning in his or in her own word, ibig sabihin nun, there is learning. So, we can assess that. Pwede nating assess yun. Through assessment, we will be able to know if the student really learned. If he or she was able to apply or transfer this learning to others in a future situation. Another about the theoretical basis of assessment is assessment facilitates development of the learner's higher order thinking skill and 21st century skills. So this is about the assessment. So in the assessment, make sure that what we give to our student will develop them their 21st century skills. How do we know if our learner is a 21st century learner? How do we know? What is a 21st century learner? Other than using the technology, hindi lang yun po. Basta gumamit ng technology, 21st century learner na ba? Hindi lang po yun. If our students is accountable to their own learning and will be asked to make decisions about their own learning, it only means that we develop to them this 21st century skill. Kailangan alam din ng bata na siya ay natututong at nakikita niya yung kakulangan niya ng learning. So, kaya we should engage them. We should allow them to make decisions in their own learning. So, that is another theoretical basis of the assessment. Will you please repeat the three? First, through assessment, we'll be able to know or determine what the students already know. And second is how this learning be transferred from one to another in a situation. Yung pag-transfer, paano niya na-apply? Yun na yun, application of this learning in their daily lives. And that is the vision of K12, wherein the brightness of K12 should be holistically developed 21st century learner. Okay, so these are the theoretical basis why we have this assessment in the K-12. Now, assessment in the K-12 education program recognizes diverse learners. Diverse learners in the sense that nowadays, we cannot apply only one strategy. You should know how to use different instructional tools. Kaya nga dito, differentiated instruction. Why we should apply differentiated instruction to our learners nowadays? Because we have diverse learners. Napakarami, iba-iba yung way ng pagkatuto ng ating mga estudyante. They have different learning styles. And according to studies, most of our students nowadays are visual learners. They learn more when they hear, see. Diba? Mas natututo sila na may nakikita gumagalaw. And we are just facilitator. The less talk on your part, the better. So this depends on your instructional material. So that's the one. Another thing that recognizes the assessment is how to multiply the ways of measuring this knowledge and skills of our student. Kunwari, paano mo malalaman na magaling talaga yung estudyante ngayon? So we should devise ways on how are we going to evaluate, to assess what they have learned. Kaya nga dapat gagamit tayo ng rubrics. We can make our own or meron naman nasa module na. Pero kayo wala pa yata sa AP. Meron na ba kayong learners module? Meron na. Okay, given na rin yung rubrics doon. Alright. So that's one. Another thing that recognizes the assessment of the K12 basic education is the role of the learners as co-participants. We should involve our learners in the assessment. Kailangan, hindi lang tayo ang nag-a-assess sa kanila. Even then, kailangan, binibigyan din natin sila ng chance na mag-assess nung learning nila. For example, another group will assess the performance of another group. So, hindi lang laging tayo. So, this is what recognize the assessment of the K-12 basic education program. Now, what is classroom assessment? So, let's move on now to classroom assessment. What is really assessed inside the class? So, classroom assessment is a joint process that involves us teachers and our students. Hindi lang tayo ang nag-a-assess. Ito ay dalawa. This involves the two of us, students and us. Kaya nga dapat, binibigyan natin yung chance yung ating bata na magtanong din. Kasi ina-assess din tayo ng mga yan kung alam ba natin. Or, kung hindi nila naintindihan, di ba, nagtatanong din sila. Okay? So, this is a joint process which involves the teachers and the learners. And of course, when we assess, it should be in unity with your instruction. It should be congruent and aligned in the curriculum. Hindi yung ang objective mo to identify in your DLL. Then in your assessment, you are describing. So, hindi congruent. So, that's another. So, kailangan congruent in unity with your instruction. Another thing is the assessment, classroom assessment, track learner progress in relation to learning standard and development of 21st century skill. So, through assessment, malalaman natin, itong batang ito magaling sa math, magaling sa science, magaling sa English. Through our assessment, we'll be able to know the performance. We'll be able to know the capabilities, abilities of our students. That's another. So, malalaman lang natin, meron dyan na bata, kala mo hindi nakikinig. Hindi siya nakatingin tayo sa'yo pag natuturo ka, nagdi-discuss. Bigla mo yung tinawag. Tapos, nakasagot. Nasagot niya lahat ng iyong tanong. So, kailangan alam din natin yung capabilities ng ating estudyante. So, through assessment, we can determine the record. So, dati pala, kaya medyo tahimik ang bata, talagang introvert lang siya. For example. Alright. Another thing about classroom assessment, it also provides basis for profiling of student performance on the learning competencies and standards of the curriculum. So, sa assessment, we can see in which subject the students is better or needs help. So, nakikita natin yan through assessment. O, medyo mahina siya sa math. So, kailangan dagdagan yung exercises, dagdagan pa yung strategy sa subject na yon para gumaling yung bata. Pero bakit mahina siya sa isang subject, hindi siya magaling sa isang subject? So as a teacher advisor, we should know kung ano yung mga interest din ng ating mga student. Should profile their learning progress from every quarter. Kaya nga po may card. Nakikita yung progress nila. If they're doing good or not in a subject. Another thing about classroom assessment, it promotes self-reflection and personal accountability among students about their own learning. Kaya nga po, di ba, pag nagbigay tayo ng card, ay, ang baba ko sa math, ang baba ko sa AP, bakit kaya mababa ako sa AP? O kaya, nagbigay ka ng periodic test. Bakit lahat kami magkakaklase baba sa AP? What happened? Ano nangyari? Bakit mababa ang result? So, kasi hindi naman lahat na ituro ni Ma'am, ni Sir. Diba? Factor yun. O si Ma'am naman, ang sagot, kasi hindi namin natapos yung budget of work. That's another. Okay, so in assessment, students will have this chance to reflect on their performances. In what way? Yun nga, pag tayo nagpa-test, siguraduhin natin yung binigay nating test sa bata ay sinusoli kaagad after checking and recording. Kasi pag soli mo ng test paper, yun na yun, magre-reflect na yung bata. Bakit kaya? Kasi hindi ako nakinig kay Ma'am. Kasi hindi ako nag-review. Kasi hindi ko naintindihan. So, yun po, ang ensure natin na every time we give tests, make sure that after checking and recording, we should return this paper to them for self-reflection. Another thing about classroom assessment, it is a process of identifying, organizing, gathering, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about what learners know and can do. So through assessment, we'll be able to identify who are good or not, who needs help or not. Then we can organize and make use of this, interpret all of this information, then make use of this in improving our instruction. Gagamitin mo ngayon itong na-assess mo. Ay, siguro yung ginamit kong strategy hindi effective. Next time, ibayin ko naman. Baka itong strategy na to, hindi ito interested o hindi interesting sa estudyante. So, babaguhin. O kaya, yung aking Manila paper, MP 1 to 5, MP 5, ay masyadong maliit ang sulat. So, that's another. And of course, classroom assessment method should be consistent with curriculum standard. Yun nga sabi ko, always make an assessment which is congruent or in unity with our instruction, with the curriculum. Huwag tayong gagawa ng tanong nang wala dun sa curriculum. Basta kumuha ka ng libro, kumopya ka, kasi nahirapan ka gumawa ng tanong. Higher order thinking question. So, ang gagawin mo, hanap ka ng reference mo. Basta related topic, copyhin mo si question. Pero hindi mo inalam kung ano yung nasa curriculum, ano yung ina-expect dapat na i-assess. Alright. So, this is classroom management. Now, what is assessed in the classroom? Ano ba talaga ina-assess natin? What do we assess in the classroom. These are our content standard, performance standard, and learning competencies. These are what we assess. We want to know how far students have learned. What are the things students already know? And of course, another thing that we assess is the skills that were developed, that should be developed by our student when we delivered our lesson. And lastly is how are we going to produce students having this great knowledge, skills, and right attitude as we deliver the lesson daily. So, all of these are what we assess inside the classroom. Now, what is assessed in the classroom? To align the assessment with the K12 curriculum, the adapted cognitive process dimension, ito na yun, may be used as a guide in the formulation of assessment tasks and activities. So, these are your guide. This cognitive process dimension can be used as your guide in your assessment. First is remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, creating. These are the cognitive process dimension or the updated Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, now let's look at the connection of this cognitive process dimension on the levels of assessment given to us before this depth and order. In terms of content standard, do you still recall the K12? Okay, that's the previous levels of assessment used in the K-12. But now, after depth and order number 8, we have now the following, the cognitive process dimension. The K-pop before, the levels of assessment before, which is K-pop, has connections with the present cognitive process dimension. So let's start with the first, which is knowledge. So in knowledge, what should students know? How are they expressed or provide evidence of what they know? So, aligned with these levels of assessment in depth and order number 73 are the two, remembering and applying. Now, let us apply. Okay, let's look at under remembering. Identify. Will you give me an example of a question or assessment wherein students were asked to identify? So, sige, magbigay kayo ng example sa AP. What to identify? So that students will be able to remember what they have learned. That is the cognitive process dimension. Sige, identify. Ano yung ina-identify sa AP?
For direction, primary direction.
Identify.
For primary direction.
Okay, so you ask them to identify. That's the question. That's the assessment to identify. Give me an example of assessment wherein for the students to remember what they have learned, you ask them to identify. Sa AP. Identify. Di ba Tagalog ba sa Tagalog? Sige, Tagalogin na lang. Pagtukoy. Tukoy. Sa Pilipino kasi pag tinanong tukoy. Ganyan. Pag natukoy ng bata, ibig sabihin nun, na-identify niya, natandaan niya kung natukoy niya. Am I right with that? Next, retrieve. Ano yung mariretrieve? Pag na-retrieve niya, na-remember niya yun. Hindi ko na-explain siguro, no? Pag na-retrieve niya, naalala niya, na-retrieve mo yung idea na yun, remembering yun. Recognize. Nakilala. Pag nakilala niya tama, recognize, nakilala niya yon, na-explain pa niya yon, na-describe niya pa yon, ibig sabihin na remember niya. Duplicate. Duplicate sa AP. Ano yung sa duplicate? Nagaya. Pag nagaya niya, ibig sabihin na alala niya, natandaan niya. List. Nailista niya. Pag nailista niya, okay, naisa-isahin niya, okay. Memorize, ayan, from the word itself, remembering. Repeat. Pag naulit niya, pinaulit ko sa kanya, ibig sabihin, na-remember niya yun. Reproduce.
Nakalilika.
Siya, base dun sa kanyang pagkakaintindi. Alright, so that is under remembering. How about applying? Another thing about the knowledge under K-pop and connected with the cognitive process, I mentioned applying. Pag na-apply niya, ibig sabihin, naiintindihan niya. So, let's move on. Execute. Sa AP, anong na-execute? Naisasagawa. So, pag naisagawa niya, ibig sabihin, at naiintindihan niya, nai-apply. O, yun na nga, naisagawa. Implement. Naisakatuparan. Demonstrate.
Naipakita.
Naipakita. Dramatize. Naisabuhay ba? Naidrama niya. Para sa Tagalog, na-drama niya. Interpret. Solve.
Nasusolusyon.
Use.
Nagagamit.
Illustrate. Convert.
Naisasalin. Charot.
Discover. Okay, the knowledge that students should know and want to know. Okay, so this is the K under K-pop. Let's move on to the P, which is process. So in the process levels of assessment, here's the question: what can students do with the information and facts they have in relation to familiar situation? And what are the evidence of what they can do with the information and facts they have? So added to the cognitive process of dimension is analyzing. So karagdagan. So sa process, we are actually engaging the three. So doon na tayo sa pangatlo, analyzing. Differentiate. Paghahambing. So pag pinaghambing niya, naihambing na niya ang isang bagay or sitwasyon o pangyayari, ibig sabihin nun, nakapag-analyze siya. Distinguish. Nakilala niya ang kaibahan. Distinguish. Distinguish between an Asian or Filipino. Tama ba sa baby? Compare.
May hahambing.
So, ang bata, kapag siya ay nagawa niya maghambing ng sitwasyon noon at ngayon, ibig sabihin nun, nakakapag-analyze siya. Contrast. Ano yung pag-contrast? Pagkakaiba? Okay, contrast. Organize. So, for example, a student were asked to read and understand on what happened in this country. So, pag yun ay na-organize niya na ikwento in his or in her own word, ibig sabihin nun, he was able to remember, he was able to apply and analyze what he or she had learned. Outline.
Nailinis.
So, are these the things that we assess to them? So, these are questions that we always ask them whenever we delivered our lesson. Huh? Next, levels of assessment under K-pop is understanding. The U for K-pop. The breadth, ay yung lahalim ng pagkaintindi. To make it short. So, pag malalim na yung pagkaintindi ng bata, the understanding of the student in that particular concept or content is deeper. It only means that he can now understand, apply, analyze, and evaluate. So, pwede na siyang mag-evaluate. So, ano yung mga ginagawa kapag nag-evaluate? Coordinate. Napag-uugnay na niya yung mga sitwasyon. mga pangyayari sa AP kasi malit na limit, ano? So, pag nagawa niya na yun, ibig sabihin nun, may understanding. Measure. Nasusukat na niya. Detect. Natuklasan na niya. Yun pala yun. Kaya pala hanggang ngayon, meron pang war sa Israel at saka Palestine. Kasi noon pa. Ganun ba? Judge. Paano mag-assess?
Nakapag-huhusga.
Nakakapagpasya na siya. Pero sa AP ba, inayang natin magpasya sila?
Oo. Matulog na rin.
Yes. We can ask them to judge. Argue. Meron ba kayong mga activity wherein we want to know their ideas, their knowledge about things that they need to argue? Debate. So parang ganun din, debate. Malimit ito sa AP. So, common ito yung debate. Oo. Critic. Yan. So, kailan natin napapansin ha? Remember, this assessment not only apply to our student but us also. We are being criticized, being critiqued by our student also. Ay, sino? Hindi masyadong malinaw yung niya dun sa topic na yun. Hindi ko tuloy alam. Kunwari sa math din, ang gagawin ng example ng anak ko, hindi niya naintindihan teacher niya, punta siya sa YouTube. Hanapin niya yung meron dun na parang nagtututo tungkol dun sa topic kasi medyo malabo discussion ng teacher. So, ang gagawin ng bata, mga anak ko, gano'n ginagawa. Nag-research siya, YouTube. Hanap siya doon ng YouTube na kung saan ini-explain teacher. That's one way, hindi lang natin alam. Very resourceful ang ating estudyante. Evaluate. So if our learners were able to apply all of this cognitive process dimension, the levels of assessment under previously is understanding. So ibig sabihin talagang naintindihan. And the last in the levels of assessment is performance or product. So what innovations in terms of products or performance are learners able to do? Yan yung mga pinapagawa natin, yan yung mga project. Yan ang mga performances nila, may mga dramatization na yan, may mga kung ano pa yun nga, sabi ni Sir, role-playing na yan, may simulation na. Alright, so if the connections of this product are the following. Applying, if the students were able to apply what they have learned, in what way, when they were able to execute, implement, illustrate, discover, and at the same time generate, hypothesize, plan, make a design, produce or construct, assemble or devise something out of what they have learned. It only means that they already have this cognitive process, applying creating, which is under performance of K-pop. Do we use rubrics when we ask them to create something? Pag nag-debate sila, dapat may rubrics ka doon. Huwag niyong palilipasin ng araw na may pinagawa kayo na hindi nyo malang sinukatan yung kanilang ginawa. Wala lang, basta tinuro mo lang. Kailangan may assessment palagi. Okay? Some assessment can be recorded. All can be recorded, but not all can be basis for grading. Hindi lahat ginigradean. Okay? So how are learners assessed in the classroom according to UNESCO? It's through formative assessment. So we have formative assessment, which is an ongoing forms of assessment closely linked to the learning process. It's only through assessment we will be able to know if students really learn from our teaching. It is formal assessment, but it is informal. Huh? It provides immediate feedback to both learner and a teacher. Immediate kaagad. Kailangan every time you give formative assessment. It helps prepare learners for summative assessment. You can make use of what you gain in the formative assessment, then consider it in your summative assessment to follow discussion. It is recorded, but not included as basis for grading. So, nag-formative assessment tayo, pero nire-record yan, pero pwedeng hindi i-include sa pag-compute ng grades. So, when formative assessment may be conducted, it can be done before the lesson, during the lesson, and after the lesson. We are actually doing that. Every time we delivered our lesson, we assess. Okay, so what are the things that we do? What are the things that we give? We assess before the lesson through formative assessment. This is for the learner knows what he knows about the topic or lesson. So, in which part of your DLL, we usually ask our student of what they know already about the topic. Balik-arap. Sa drill, di ba? Nagtatanong tayo kung ano na yung alam na ng bata before we move on to our lesson proper. We ask them what they already know. So, if you are the teacher during that before lesson formative assessment, you get that information of what the students already know and can do. Para hindi mo na ulitin. Hindi mo na ulitin, alam mo pala na yun. So, hindi ko na isasama. May alam na pala sila doon. Alright, so, this is formative assessment before the lesson. During the lesson, ano naman ang gagawin? Okay, so in your lesson, you ask them to group. Give them group activity. So after giving the differentiated instruction, just let them work on their own group. Tapos, upo ka na lang ba? You need to go from one station to another, one group to another. That is immediate feedback. Knowing their strength and weaknesses. Kailangan malaman mo, ano ba, saan kayo nahihirapan dyan? Ano ba bang kulang dyan? Okay naman, ano naman yan? Ma'am, medyo hindi ko namin naintindihan nito. Sige, ano? Okay, so pumunta kayo sa mga groups niyo kung nagpapag-groupings kayo. Alright? So, that is providing immediate feedback to our learner. So yun during the lesson, pag lesson proper na, nagpapa-activity ka na. So in doing formative assessment during the lesson, we will be able to know what the student knows already and does not know about the topic, about the lesson. So this is one way of monitoring the students' progress. And last, informative assessment is, this is also conducted after the lesson. So for the learner, this tells and recognizes whether he met learning objectives and success criteria. It's also on this time where we will be able to know who needs remediation. In our case, as teacher, this is one way of knowing if we were able to achieve our goal for the day. Na-achieve ba natin yung ating learning objectives? And that is given in the evaluation. Do we assess them after the lesson? Do we assess after the lesson? make sure you assess. This one way, if you achieve your goal, if you were able to achieve your goal, and make sure when you make an assessment, make sure it's congruent to the objective. Kunwari, objective mo, tukuyin. Tapos sa tanong mo, hindi naman tinutukoy. So, hindi na congruent. Alright? So, pag natukoy niya, ibig sabihin, congruent yun at na-achieve mo yung goal mo. Now, itong formative assessment, this is what we write on our reflection, yung last part ng ating DLL, kasi hindi pa pala di-discuss pa pala ano. Okay. Diba you have the last part in your DLL, which is reflection. Nasusulatan niyo na ba yun? Dapat nasusulatan para saan ba yun? Every after we deliver our lesson, prepared lesson for the day, make sure that we reflect. For example, you have 50 students. 50 students. Now, you give assessment, evaluation. Now, you want to know how many of your students earn the 80%. So, paano mo malalaman kung na-earn nila yung 80% proficiency? If they are proficient. 80% proficiency. So, 50 students, what is 80% of, for example, 5 items test? What is 80% of 5? 4. Diba? So, you have 5 items question. The 80% of 5 items is 4 and 5. So, after giving 5 items question, you count how many of your students got 4 to 5. For example, you have 50 students, only 40 reach the 80%. So, 40 over 50. You still have the 10. So, yung natirang 10, what will you do? Remediation. So, you will write there, you still need to remediate 10 students. Then, you give another assessment. 10 students undergone remediation. Unfortunately, only 8 reach the 80%. So, you still have 2. What will you do to these 2? What will you do? Maybe these 2, okay, has problem. So you ask your colleagues, your co-teachers in other subjects, if you have the same problem with these 2 students, baka may behavioral problem yan. So kaya, yan yung mga, yan na yung inuupuan sa lab session. So, Learning Action Cell, sa TQC dati, PLC. So, yun na yung mga pinag-uusapan nyo during lab session on what you will do. What are the intervention, innovation that you will do for this student? So, yun po yung nila-lab session maliban dun sa result ng periodical test. Diba? You were asked to conduct PLC once a week. Document this PLC session every week. Tama po ba? Nag-PLC ba tayo? That is actually lab session. So what do you actually solve during PLC? Yun nga, yung mga nalileft behind na yan. Now, what did you notice on the result after the lesson, giving summative assessment? 40, 10, 40, 10, then 8, then 2. What did you notice? 2, hanggang sa 2 nila, what did you notice? Lahat talagang binibigyan natin ng pansin. This is to ensure that no one should be left behind. Yan ang DepEd, yan ang K12. No one should be left behind. Hindi lang yung magagaling ang bibigyang pansin. Lahat kailangan bigyang pansin, lalong dobleng pansin sa mga nahuhuli. Okay? So, we should think it's our responsibility, it's our mandate to do everything for them. Kaya tayo hinahire. Kaya hiningi ang serbisyo natin para sa mga estudyante niyan. Alright. Another way of assessing our student is through summative assessment. So, familiar na kayo dito. After each unit, each chapter, you give unit test, long test. Am I right? So, this is summative assessment. In formative assessment, it is recorded. Same with in summative assessment. The difference is in formative, it's not basis for grading. But in summative, kasama. It is included in the computation of the final grade. So how are assessed in the classroom? It's through written work, performance tasks, and quarterly assessment. So yun yung mga ina-assess in the classroom. So, pinakitaan na kayo ng mga sample, am I right? Sir, kahapon, kung ano yung mga ina-assess, mga written work. So, sa written work kasi, it's here where we will be able to know if students were really learn from us. Really know the concept, really understand the concept. So, pag nagbigay ka ng test, nakasagot sila ng tama, nakakaintindi sila, na-remember nila, na-understand nila, na-apply nila, na-analyze nila. Alright? And performance tasks, nagpa-debate ka. Diba? Nagpa-roleplay ka. So, these are performance tasks. And quarterly. Now, this tree has weights. Iba-iba yung percentage niya ng tatlong yan. By the way, I would just like to show you an example of written work and performance tasks in AP. Ayan. Ayan yung mga written work. And yung mga products or performances of the student. So, yun yung mga pinagbabasihan natin ng percentage grade. Ilan kayang percent ang written? Ilan percent kayang performance?
30,
Ilang
40.
percent kaya yung
Quarterly.
assessment?
25.
Okay, let's look at the weights for its. Yan, meron tayo sample para sa ibang sa. By the way, learners are assessed in the classroom individually and in group or collaboratively. Okay, let's look at the percentage. Ayan. So, in AP, the written test equivalent to 30% of their grades. The performance task is 50%. And the quarterly assessment equivalent to 20%.
Grade 1 to 10.
So, for example, you gave 10 written work, written tests to your students. Each test, there's about 10 items. Naka-9 lahat sila sa 10 na yon. Ilan ang score niya? 90. 90 over 100 times 100. Pag nakuha mo na yun, multiply it by 30%. Okay? Next, performance task. Sabi mo ng 85. Okay. Ang average grade mo para dun sa performance task ay 85. Add and divide. So you get the average of 85. Divided by 100, for example. Times 100%. Your result, okay, you multiply your result to how many percent? 50%. And last is your quarterly assessment. What is this quarterly assessment? The periodic test. So how many percent? It weighs about 20%. So for example, students got an average grade of 85 in the periodic test. Kindly compute. Compute, 95. Ano yung isa? Yung sa performance task natin, sa written test, naka 90 siya. Sa performance task, sabihin natin, naka 85. At saka sa quarterly assessment, periodic, naka 80 siya. Pakikompute nga po. As you compute these three, is that the grade that we place in the report card? Is that the final grade already? After computing, after your computation of this,
Transmutation.
okay. So you need to use the transmutation table. So baka kasi yung iba nagulat. Yung pinakita ko yung transmutation table. This one. So, can you get the initial grade? 86.5. That is the computed grade. Now, let's transmute that using the transmutation table. Ayan. 80. 86. So, 91 ang grade niya. That's what you will write in the report card of the child. That's the final grade. So, if your computed grade is 86, get the transmutation of this using the transmutation table. That is your final grade now. That's the one being written in the report card. So, pakicheck na. Baka yung electronic ninyo, computate yung i-record nyo ay mali ang percentage. Double check ha. Baka may friend ka, 80 ka, no? Hinira mo yung Excel ng math. Magkaiba sa math, saka sa AP. Dahil friend mo ay math, meron siya. Magaling siya sa Excel. Ikaw wala, para madali ang computation. Kailangan automatic din sa akin. Kinopya mo ngayon. Hindi mo ngayon na-check yung percentage. Then, wala pala yung nakalink na sa transmutation table. So, ano nang posibleng mangyari? Ito, may kaso na the computed grade, for example, is 83. Nagreklamo yung magulang. 83 ang grade. Nagreklamo. Pinakompute ulit ang grade. Ang lumabas, 79. Lalong nagreklamo yung magulang. Pinarecompute niya eh. 83 na yung grade eh. Nung na-compute, 79. Lalong nagreklamo yung magulang. Bakit? Yung pala yung na-compute na grade. Pero iba yung nilagay sa card. Dishonesty daw yung pwedeng kaso yun. Yes. So, ensure yung pag-compute nyo ng grades, ha? Alright. So, this is how it's computed based on these ways. Now, of course, when we compute grades, we add all of the subjects. So, ilan subject yun? 8. So, kukunin nyo yung average grade. May decimal point ba? Meron bang decimal point? Wala na kung decimal point na yun. Wala na po. Kasi, tingnan ninyo ang nilalagay. May decimal point po dyan. Nakalagay. Wala. Wala na po decimal point, ha? Whole number na po. Alright. So, after you computed all, you add all the subjects, the final grades of all the subjects, and divide it by the number of subjects, that will be your final grade. And you will get the descriptor of this. For example, ano yung grade? 86. Dun sa 91. So, outstanding yung estudyante. Outstanding. Pwede siyang i-recognize every quarter. So, first quarter, outstanding siya. Bibigyan siya ng recognition. At pag nag-outstanding pa rin siya, at the end of the school year, meron na rin siyang medal and certificate. Alright? So, what if the student failed in the subject? For example, out of the 8 subjects failed. What do you think will happen to the student? Okay. You will recommend them for a remedial session. Magre-remedial sila. Pero ngayon, dapat, first quarter pa lang, pag nakita mo ng lagpak na, i-remedial mo na siya kaagad. Para hindi na mahirapan sa sa huli. Okay? Kaya kami dito, konti lang nire-remedial pagdating ng summer. Si first quarter pa lang, pag nakita ng lagpak, binibigyan na ng remediation. Alright, what if the student failed again? Dalawang niremedial niya, lagpak pa rin yung isa. Ano mangyayari? Mariretain yung bata. Yun po ang wag na wag natin na hayang mangyari. Mariretain yung bata. Okay po, kawawa naman. Isa lang yung subject. Yes.
Kasi nangyari po yung case na ganyan. Tapos yung bata kasi, parang hindi siya nakikipag-cooperate together with the parents itself. So parang hard para sa teacher na bigyan ba siya ng leksyon to retain or...
No, please ha. That's not the right or proper word for our student. Okay, discipline. Okay, disciplinahin.
Hanggang naubos na yung first, second, third, fourth grading, the same ang personality, pati attitude ng bata at parents.
Is that the one being assessed in the classroom, the personality, the attitude?
Kasi from the written performance and then yung parang wala rin sila masyadong...
So, you didn't convince the child to work his or her written work performances. You should find ways and means pa rin, sir. That's our mandate. Yes. Monday tayo. We should be the one who will think of many ways on how are we going to help this kind of student. Still, ang pa rin yun, ibabato pa rin yun sa atin. Tayo pa rin ang gagawa ng paraan para matulungan yan. I-apply ng psychology. Or maybe, you ask another teacher who could help him. Baka medyo naiya yung bata, medyo ako. Minsan may gano'n, teacher factor, reality to, pero totoo yun, minsan nasa teacher. Bakit sa ibang class nagkakating sa iba, hindi? Something's wrong with your strategy, the way you discipline your child. Though, syempre, iba na kasi ngayon they are protected. Pwede tayo makasuhan sa labas, criminal, child protection, sa DepEd, pwede matanggalan ng hindi lisensya sa servisyo. Child protection, yun ang mahirap. Yes, sir. Sige, go on.
Pero, highly recommend, parang, pinopromote ba natin na 100% promoted? Kahit man lang may 0.1%?
Pag ganun yung case, syempre, basta may mga evidences ka na student really did not perform in your class, pwede naman. That's one way of giving discipline to the student. Pero wag na wag i-mention na because of his attitude, personality, kasi hindi naman naka-reflect dun sa card na personality, attitude, dahil ikaw ay bastos sa akin, lagpak ka na. Hindi pwede kasi yun. Dahil wala naman yun, di ba? Written test, performance task. So, you can solve the values teacher if you encountered problems like that. Behavior problem yun. Sa values siguro, pwedeng makipag-coordinate ka, makipagtulungan ka on what to do. Kasi syempre, you have this goal for the student to master the competencies in the curriculum. Yun nga lang, because of behavior problem, yun na nga, sinasabi ko, mayroon pa rin dalawa na natira. Posible behavioral problem. So yun na yung nilalak session. Yun na yung pinag-uusapan ng lahat ng teacher kung paano gagawin strategiya. Baka your idea is not that good compared to the idea of others. Pwedeng yung idea ng isa maging effective sa iyo, sa mga estudyante mo. Pwede mong i-adapt yun. Pero ito lang ang masabi ko, it's still in our mandate to do everything for our student. Because DepEd is learner-centered. We are here because of our learners. Our service is being asked to perform that. Hiningi yung servisyo mo para tulungan ang bata. It's not about us on how they treat us. It's about them. It's about how and what are the things that we're going to do to help. Sa atin pa rin ang bagsak niyan. So talagang holistic ang approach natin, di ba? We should holistically develop the K12 graduates are whole person who are holistically developed with 21st century skill. Yun. So, ibig sabihin, lahat talaga ang bagsak ay sa atin. Kaya nga, di ba, we've been asked to go to their house or to visit, di ba, o visitation. Kasi hindi natin alam, yung batang yan pala ay yung pinagdadaanan. Marami pala siya pala ay biktima ng child abuse. Hindi siya makakonsentrate dun sa subject mo dahil dun sa na-experience niya yun. Hindi siya makapag-open up sa kanyang mga klase. Malay natin, siya pala ay biktima ng rape. Or inabuso pala siya ng kanyang kapitbahay o kung sino pa. May pinagdadaanan yan. There's reason behind. So yun ang natin. Yun ang goal natin. Holistic dapat. Totality of the child, kailangan malaman natin para matulungan siya. The bottom line is, still, tayo pa rin ang gagawa ng paraan. Kahit mga problema na ng magulang eh. Kasi minsan, mas pinapaniwalaan tayo kaysa yung magulang. Okay. Yan ang hiningi sa atin. Kaya tayo minire ng DepEd. Right? So, I hope you understand this, sir. Yun talagang reality. Yun ang role natin. Tayo lang ang gagawa ng paraan. Hey, ma'am, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our education program supervisor in edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, Dr. Phyllis Tagues. Ma'am Joy, thank you for visiting us.
Malito pa sa closing.
Sa closing.
Yes.
Makakasama natin mamaya si ma'am sa closing. Alright. So, take note of the DepEd order number 8 and tell this to the parent na pag isang naiwanan, ma-retain siya kahit isa lang ang naiwanan. Kaya kami dito, hanggat hindi close ang list, habulin pa rin. Bigyan ka rin ng remediation ng activity para makapasa. Ako na nga kaya ang makikiusap para pumasala ng bata. Yes, I do that for my students. Kasi hindi naman yan magpapakadalubhasa. Yes, sir.
Pero may binibigay na specific duration about remediation pag summer ang division office. Ang division office nag-i-issue ng specific duration para i-summer yung bata.
Meron. Doon sa grade. Yun nga lang, ipapasok pa rin yung sa list. Papasok pa rin sa list. So, mag-wait pa rin. Mag-wait pa rin. Okay, nag-submit na, pero may deadline sa list. So, ang basen pa rin yung sa list. Napaka-considerate natin pagdating sa ganyan. Yes, ma'am? Pwede siya mag-advance. Yes, pwede siya mag-advance. Ano yun? Paano makabang kamay? Ano yun?
Katumbo ngayon.
Baka mag-Spider-Man.
Ano yun? Ano ibig sabihin mahabang kamay? Hindi ko maintindihan.
Malikot naman ako.
Pero care po tayo. Napakahirap na sitwasyon natin. Bigyan na lang siya ng parang yes. If you think the student has behavioral problem, pwede naman siyang bigyan ng alternative mode. alternative mode of instruction, delivery of instruction, pwede yun. Di ba meron, tingnan yung left-hand corner, meron ganun, ano siya?
Wala palingi ko.
Ang ka.
Yung maganda sinasabi. Pag magde-detect ka, ipasa.
Ano yung nasa list?
Itigil lang siya pag sinabi mo.
Doon mo lang masasabi kung anong grade niya sa list.
Kasi pag in-defend mo, ano ka?
Pero hindi kami binabayaran nyo.
Pwede sabi ko. Ako naman.
Dapat nilinis na yun. Bago pa ipasok sa list, malinis na yun. Retain pa rin siya. O, yun na nga. Kung nailagay, dapat yung bantayan at tuman na nag-religion siya. Para mag-fit na siya dun sa level niya na nasa list. Yes, sir? Diba? You still have question. Alright? So, yun po ha. Tulungan ng bata. Ito, lagi ko sinasabi. Pag nagdi-deliberation, yan, naririnig ni Ma'am Gamueda. Nag-deliberation. Ito na. Nag-meeting. Check po sa office. Nung sila nag-meeting, pinag-uusapan. Ang pinag-uusapan nila during deliberation is, paano gagawin na matuluyan yung bata? Bumagsak ang bibig ko. Sabi ko, pag deliberation po, hindi ito yung usapin kung sino yung tutuluyan. Pag deliberation ay pag-uusapan kung sino pa yung kailangan tulungan. Hindi yung tutuluyan. Tama po ba? Parang tutuluyan ang pinag-uusapan, hindi yung kung sino pa yung kailangan tulungan. Tutulungan, hindi tutuluyan. Hindi po yun ang mandate natin. Ang mandate natin ay kung ano lahat ang pwedeng gawin, tulong para sa estudyante. Alright? Yes?
Kasi parang kung mismo yung learner na yung umayaw. Kung mismo yung learner na yung umayaw.
Di pa sulatan. Pero convincing pa rin. Ganun po talaga.
Convincing pa rin.
Ako nung advisor ako, nagtatawag talaga ako. Kasi yun ang ano ko, kinukuha talaga yung contact number. Yung contact na nakukontact, ha? Kasi minsan, contact, kunwari lang contact, di na contact. Tinatawagan ko talaga. Pag hindi naka-exam, o kaya nakikiusap ako sa mga klase o sa kakilala. O ba kilala mo si ganito, ha? Pakisabi, tanggapin pa siya kahit ilang ano. At saka pag kasi pinapahiya natin ang bata, lalo hindi na ipapasok. Huwag natin gagawin yun. Kailangan lagi natin matuwa tayo ng bata kung mahaba yung maraming absences na siya, pumasok. Matuwa tayo na pumasok. Tapos talagang i-hold na natin siya na hindi na siya a-absent. Hindi yung absent, nabuhay ka! Talagang hindi na papasok ang bata pag ganun tayo. Sabihin, buhay ka na naman.
Biro lang
Yung mga salita natin yun na demoralize din sila.
Ma'am, biro
Hindi
lang.
natin sila na-inspire pag ganun. Alright?
Ma'am, joke lang po.
Yes?
Wala po.
Question at the back?
Ting.
Yes, ma'am.
Ting ng catfish. Ting.
Ano?
Ting na.
If you think na makakabuti, makakatulong, yun nga lang, careful kayo ha sa iyong home visit nyo. Baka naman yung hilera ng pupuntahan nyo ay may mga nagiinuman doon, kaya may mga addict doon. Mawawa naman kayo. Meron form yan na kinukuha sa guidance pag kayo nag-home visit para kasama sa visit.
Meron?
Meron po. Tapos, pagka medyo delikado yung lugar, coordinate with the, yun ang pinaka-safest way. Tsaka, ipaalam, ma'am, ha? Huwag kayo mag-home visit ng walang paalam. Walang sasagot sa inyo. Alright. Now, in the case of senior high, bigyan ko lang kayo ng idea, if in the junior high, one subject is failed, retain na. In the senior high, if there is one subject failed in a semester, this would be their back subject. Ang problem lang, may mag-offer kaya nung binang subject. Kung wala, mag-aantay siya kung kailan may mag-offer. So, ang nangyari sa estudyante, hahaba yung years na sa senior high school. Pero ang in other school yata, sa senior high, talagang nagre-remedial, yung teacher willing naman magbigay ng extra time for the student. Alright? So that is in the case of senior high school. Now, let's move on to the core values. Yan. Advisor ba kayo lahat? Pag tayo advisor, siguraduhin lang kilala lahat ang estudyante natin, ang pag-uugali, gawin. Para madali nating masagutan yung nasa card na core values. Pag madalas nating nakikita sa kanila, sasabihin mo, always observe. Pag hindi natin madalas, paano yung 18? 3 beses lang, isang linggo. Di, sometimes observe lang. Ngayon. Kasi pag everyday, always observe. Eh, kayo nyo, 3 beses lang, di sometimes observe. Kaya nilagay yung SOS, SOS. Okay, pag nagmamadali na, higher section, AO. Okay, hindi na binasa yung mga indicator. May indicator po yan. Ayan. Ha? So, kailangan tandaan natin yung mga indicator na yan at kilala natin yung estudyante para pag tayo nagsulat sa card, talagang totoo yun. Hindi yung basta mabilis lang ilagay. AO. Pero ang grade naman sa likod, 75, 76. Pero ang nasa likod, AO. Alright. Kaya ganun, parang hindi, baga sa research, hindi siya congruent eh. Insignificant. Baba ng grade, tapos ang taas din sa values. Alright. So, in the case of absences, pag 20% of the total number of school days, ang na-absent na ng bata natin, this may result in a failing grade. Kaya kailangan mag-check tayo ng attendance. Kasi pwede nyo na yung basihan. So, it is reported and recorded in the report card. Ngayon, monthly talaga hinihingi yan at sinesend sa central office through list. Kasi darating ang araw, through our list, through our erase, lahat yan automated na. Pati nga yung sa ID ng bata, tsaka pag-enter niya sa school, darating yung araw na isa-swipe na lang na si ID, automatic, papasok na yan sa pinaka-database ng DepEd. Okay, yung mga possibilities. Pinagkitan sa amin ni Director Yubenko ng ICT, DepEd ICT.
Parang lasal lang.
Yun yung mga
ang tanong, burara yung mga bata. Diba?
Kaya nga diba sa atin, sa iris, hindi na tayo pilat ng PDS. So kaya natin ginawa yun para ang DepEd Central na mag-forward sa civil service ng ating personal data. So, kasi nga, ang goal ng DepEd, bawasan ang mga forms na pinipila pa ng teachers. Kasi ang trabaho daw natin ay hindi yung mag-accomplish ng maraming form. Ang trabaho natin ay ang magturo ng magturo. Hindi yung magbilang ng kung ano-anong form. At darating ang panahon na yung card natin, yung na-compute natin grades, automatic na papasok sa card, papasok sa form 137. Hindi na kayo magsusulat. Simple na yun dahil nung-umpisa na namin develop yan noong seminar kami. Automated, darating tayo dyan. Pagpasok mo ng grade, di ba, electronic na rin, may binigay na sa ating template. Okay, pag in-enter mo sa list, na-compute na pati mga subject, automatic malilink na sa card. Automatic malilink sa form 137. So, wala ka na sulat-sulat. Print ka na lang ng name. Okay? So, this is sample card for grades 1 and 10. Kung hindi kayo advisor, tingnan nyo naman kung ano yung tsura niya. In front, ito yung tsura, attendance, saka information ng bata, saka ng school. At the back are the grades and the core values. Observed values. So, may mga indicators sa baba yan. So, be careful and ensure that what really computed is the grades, really computed is the one that you place in the card. Kasi pwede kayong mabuli ng magulang, pwede kayong makasuhan. Pag hindi naman kayo nagbigay ng card, pwede rin po kayong makasuhan, mareklamo. Kasi, di ba, in the DepEd Order number 25, every quarter, we need to show to the parents the progress of their child in the different learning areas through or every distribution of card. Kaya pag hindi ka nag-distribute ng card, kaso yan. Okay? So, kailangan mag-distribute kayo. And, mas mahirap pa to, do not release card kapag Form 137 na wala siyang record dun sa pinanggalingang school. Kunwari, transfer siya, private school, maraming utang. Huwag niyong i-release yung card niya kapag wala pa siyang form galing dun sa school na pinanggalingan niya. Or else, pwede din tayong mademanda. Okay, so, pag transferee, siguraduhin na makuha yung Form 137. Pero hindi na kayo ang kukuha, hindi na magulang ang magsisend. School to school po ang Form 137. Ha? School to school yan. Alam niyo ang dahilan? Para mabawasan na yung obligasyon ng magulang ng oras at saka pera. Pinapasagot na sa mga eskwelahan yung pagbibigay ng or pagsisend ng Form 137. Dito, gumagastos kami ng konting halaga lang naman sa pagsisend through mail ng mga Form 137. At isa pang factor, bakit kailangan school to school? Marami na ngayon pong case ng falsification of documents. Kami dito, proven, meron na. Hindi namin pinag-moving up, buti na lang. 1 week before ng moving up. Na-find out namin, fake yung Form 137 na sinabit. Okay, so yun, tiyakin natin na yung sinasabit ay talagang authentic, original. Baka galing lang yun sa recto. At meron pa kami na gagraduate na siya sa college. Imagine that. Tapos pinake yung Form 137 galing dito. Kailangan na niya yung hindi siya gagraduate. So yun, yung mga ganung problema. So kaya, pag-advisor tayo, hindi lang yung magtulong tayo, pero tutulungan din bata natin para hindi sila magka-problema sa record. Siguraduhin ang i-enter sa kanilang card kung ano yung nasa birth certificate. Kasi gumagastos sila ng malaki in the end. Alright, that's end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, so once again, let's give Ma'am Eileen Agar a big round of applause for the very comprehensive talk on assessment for the K12.